All right. Good evening, everybody. This is LZ Cards Fan 23 bringing you all the exciting play-by-play action in the Zelda 2 tournament. Right now, we have a Group E matchup between Light Z, who is 0-1 so far, versus xJohnWaynex, who is 1-0 so far. This is going to be very exciting, and for those of you who didn't join us last night, we had a very intense matchup. Light Z was involved with between two gamers, one nerd, or JSR, or James as he is alternately called. The difference between that race was 3 seconds, and that was made possible because Light Z ended up dying at the Valley of Death. He game overed, which enabled two gamers, one nerd to make that incredible comeback. Now, the key here for this is Light Z has got to put that match behind him. He has got to put that behind him. He cannot go on tilt. If that happens, John Wayne could have a chance to go 2-0 into group play so far. So Light Z has got to put the last match behind him. And because of that, I got a feeling he might go a little bit conservative. He might grab an extra life or two. So we will see what kind of strategies both of these players pull off as they get ready for their exciting matchup. Should be a good one, folks. By the way, if you didn't join us earlier today, we had another matchup go down to the wire. And again, the Valley of Death came into play. It was between Sven and the Enchantress of Numbers. And EON was the one who had the big lead. But just like Light Z last night, also game overed at the Valley of Death that allowed Sven to come back and pull out a narrow victory. So far in the last 2 nights, we've seen the Valley of Death. It's something I like to call in the Zelda 1 randomizer tournament. But right now, the Valley of Death the last 2 nights has proven to be the great equalizer. So we'll see if that comes into play tonight. Something tells me it's not going to because these two are very well skilled in Zelda 2. But this should be a great matchup nonetheless. I'm looking forward to it. Looks like both of these races are just about ready to get started here. Those of you who are in JLo7's chat, welcome to the race. I hope you enjoy it. This should be a very exciting one, my friends. And both of these racers are now underway. All right, we'll see if both of them take the same path. Of course, they're going to take the same path into Magic Cave, where they're going to pick up their first bonus magic container. That would get them up to 5 units of magic. You can get a maximum of 8 units of magic in Zelda 2. Now, what they're also going to be hoping for is the early P-Bag from this cave. There's only a 1 in 8 chance they're going to get that 50-point P-Bag, which is going to help them out tremendously get to the level 4 at the end of Palace 1. Light Z does not get the 50-point P-Bag, and neither does John Wayne. So both of them are going to be level pegging. We'll see if the different strategies come into play. Some might go into the forest to recover those 50 points. Some might go into the trophy cave. And Light Z looks like is going to go into the trophy cave in the dark to get the lost experience points. John Wayne following right behind him. So you got to be careful here. There are some fiery pits here, and you can't see any of the enemies in here at all. So you got to rely on memorization. So Light Z and John Wayne have picked up the trophy, which, of course, to me looks like a Christmas ornament that you put on the top of the tree, but I digress. No problem for Light Z. He gets out of that trophy cave, which he will show it at the town of Rudo later on. Both of these players will show that trophy to the town of Rudo in order to get the jump spell. But right now, first of all, they're going to make their way towards Rauru Town. Unfortunately for Light Z, got an encounter on the road, so going to cost him a little bit of time. Is going to go right to the palace. Light Z is going to go into Palace 1 right away, but he gets another encounter. John diverges paths. He's in the town of Rauru right now, where he's going to pick up the shield spell. And by casting the shield spell, the damage that he'll take on that particular screen would be reduced to 1/2. So Light Z not going into the town of Rauru right now. He's going to go into Palace 1. Now, he's going to try and get this manipulation to get the bubble encounter skip. Does he do it? Looks like he got it, so good job for Light Z. He gets the bubble screen and counter skip. So here he is. He's going to go into this screen here with an orange Gorilla and going to get this heart container. So now he's got 5 units on the health meter. Ends up killing that 20-point orange Gorilla and is now going to make his way back into Palace 1. Now, there's no choice here. You have to take this encounter going on back. Got to be careful here. Those bubbles are going to cause havoc to both of these players. If you get hit by him, there's a good chance you're going to get knocked into the water and lose one of your precious lives. Now, John Wayne is also going to make his way into the cave. There's only one enemy in this dark cave, and that's a lonely louder. So not too much trouble for either of them. John Wayne just goes ahead and jumps over, doesn't even think about killing it. So let's see if he's able to get that encounter skip. But meanwhile, Light Z has made his way into the palace, the first palace of the game, known as the Parappa Palace, where they will pick up the candle, which they can use to see in those caves that they couldn't see in before. John gets the encounter skip as well, so he is catching right with Light Z in terms of where he needs to be. There's a P bag drop for Light Z. That was the small drop P bag for 50 points. It feels a little bit too early to be the large drop. For the large drops, you're either going to get a P bag worth 200 points or the red jar. And yep, indeed, it is a 50-point P bag for Light Z. They're hoping to get both of them. Well, I think in this case, because they went to the trophy cave, they only need 1 out of the 2 large P bags to be on track to get attack 4 coming out of Palace 1. And now John Wayne has made his way into the Palace 1 himself. And there we see the first attack upgrade on Light Z's side of the board. John Wayne is making his way to that key where we saw Light Z just pick up a few moments ago. Remember, this is a 100% all keys tournament. These players have to pick up all of the keys that are found in the palace in order for this to be a valid run. Otherwise, they would be disqualified. And speaking of disqualifications, another thing, you may not use the fairy spell to go through doors unless, of course, you have the key to begin with that would unlock the door. If you do that, even if you go back to pick up the key, that is a disqualification as well. Both of these players, of course, know that, but those are the rules in case somebody had any questions about that. Light Z getting the key there that is surrounded by that. It goes by a couple of names. You've got the Guma, spelled G-U-M-A. He's also known as the Mace Thrower. And of course, also known as the Doom Rattle. Not to be confused with the Doom Knockers, though, that are later on. Alright, Light Z is now making his way toward both the 50-point P bag that's going to be on the disintegrating bridge, and then the next screen, which is going to have the candle. John Wayne took a couple of hits there, but he still has half of his health left. Taking care of that Doom Rattle to get the key. Ooh, a red jar drop from that Doom Rattle for Light Z, so now he has to get that P-Bag drop out of the orange Iron Knuckle at the end of this palace. Otherwise, he will not have enough points to get attack 4. So bad break there, so Light Z is going to have to sweat it out. We'll see if John's P-Bag luck fares any better when he gets to that Doom Rattle. Ooh, taking a bopping there does John, going into that disintegrating bridge with the 50-point P-Bag. No problems there picking that up. And cooperation from those bots there. Oh, John takes an early death to that That is very, very costly right there. You don't want to be taking early deaths, but yeah, that Doom Rattle decided that John was not going to let him pass, and does that reset his counters? Because I was looking for that P-Bag. But yeah, that is a bad luck right there for John. Light Z able to get the 200-point P-Bag drop out of that orange Iron Knuckle, so he will be on track to get that Attack 4 coming out of Palace 1. Light Z makes quick work out of Horsehead, the boss of Parappa Palace, 50 experience points, and now he has the 1,000 pace, so now when he places that crystal in, his experience points gets filled up all the way to 1,000. That will give him the all-important Attack 4. We got to be careful that you don't soft lock there. He was not far away. He really wasn't far away from coming out of that screen. You got to be very careful. And what I mean by soft locking is if you exit the screen at the exact same time that you level up on experience points, the music continues to play, but you end up getting either a black screen or a blue screen, depending on where you are, and you can't do anything about it, and that's a soft lock, and that would be very costly for Light Z. Can't be doing something like that. And John Wayne down to his last sliver of health. He has to be careful. He's already down 1 life. And now Light Z is in the town of Raru, where he's going to pick up the shield spell. John Wayne has no trouble with that particular Doom Rattle. Let's see how he fares against this orange Iron Knuckle. Oh, he gets the red jar drop, so he is not going to have Attack 4 coming out of Palace 1. That is going to hurt. So John is going to have quite a deficit. He's going to come out of Parappa Palace with 3-1-1.
Rip race, guys.
'Rip race. John Wayne will place that crystal in there, but he's only going to get 89 experience points out of this. Everything refills, of course, but coming out of there with only having 3-1-1, that is not a good place to be, especially, obviously he doesn't know this, especially that we know that Light Z came out of Palace 1 with 4-1-1. Now we see that Light Z has made it to the town of Rudo. Well, he will return the trophy to the rightful owner, and that will enable him to get the jump spell, which is needed to make that very high jump at the end of the next cave that he's going to go into. John Wayne making his way into that same town where he too is going to pick up that jump spell. So, looking at these splits here, Jump Town, he entered Jump Town at 9:51, did Light Z. Now, John splits, he's going to split when he gets the jump spell. So we'll take a look when he exits. Light Z exits Rudo Town at 10 minutes and 50 seconds. So when John Wayne exits out of Rudo Town, we'll see where he's at, and that'll give you an idea of what the deficit is. But it's actually a bigger deficit for John because, again, he doesn't have 4-1-1. $11:17 is where John comes out, so he's 27 seconds behind coming out of Rudo Town. And getting nothing but jar drops. Of course, that's the 7 out of 8 chance that you're going to get the blue jar drop out of the small drop enemies. Ooh, Light Z taking a swamp encounter, the light version. So he won't have too much trouble there. Let's see if he's able to get to Bagu's house and not get unlucky. But he does get unlucky, taking an additional counter there. So 2 encounters on his way to Bagoo's house, and that could give John a chance to catch up a little bit. Now we see that Light Z has made it to Bagoo's house. By talking to Bagoo, he'll be able to cross the bridge that's in the town of Saria. So we'll see if John's able to get through this. He does not take a swamp encounter, takes one in the grass instead. And loses a little bit of health in the process. Now let's see if he's able to get through this without an additional counter. No, he too takes an encounter in the same exact tile that Light Z got hit. So both of them taking multiple encounters on the way to Bagoo's house.
Oh, Jesus. I stopped my timer.
Well, Dark Magician, a light encounter as opposed to the heavy encounter, if you know what I mean. That is kind of funny, though, that coincidentally that the name is Light Z on this contestant.
Damn it.
So in Saria Town, you're going to find a mirror that's in the house, one of the houses, and by returning the mirror to the girl, you end up getting the life spell. And the life spell recovers 3 full bars of your life meter, which is a spell that these players are going to be using a lot throughout this race.
I didn't mean to fork it, son of a bitch. Oh well. You know what? It's whatever.
Of course, I found a mirror under the table is one of the very few dialogue lines that Link speaks in the entire Legend of Zelda series. The cartoon and the CDI games don't count because most people don't consider them canon.
Oh well. 3-1 to light. I will take my.
So Light Z showing that note to the guard. The guard will let Light Z cross the bridge and he can make his way towards Death Mountain, where along the way he's going to find that hammer. Very important. Ah, yes, of course, the Captain N series. Link was in a few of the episodes in Season 2. That would be correct, Caruso.
There it is time for the dildo. Time now.
Beginning of Death Mountain for Light Z. Of course, the beginning's not too bad. You've got these bots and some moblins here to deal with. But later on, towards the middle of Death Mountain, you're going to find these enemies that probably gave a lot of you little kids trouble, and that are Dairas.
Well, pressure's off light to do it,
Now, it looks like John shut off his split, so we're not going to get a general idea of how far he is ahead or behind, so it's going to be a little bit more trouble to distinguish what the gap is between the two players. Light Z having no trouble with those bagos. However, on the other end, Moblins are giving John Wayne a few problems here. And that is not the screens where you want to be taking damage, because here's this red Daira that Light Z made quick work out of that throws axes at you, and you got to time the jumps properly or you're going to get owned by them. As it stands, Light Z is at 4-2-2, whereas John is at 3-1-2.
Alright, so it's done. Undone.
Light Z's in pretty good shape health-wise, making quick work of that orange Daira. John Wayne has no problem with that orange Daira. Light Z getting a red jar drop out of that, and that's probably a bad break because considering he's in the cave now where he can get a red jar at the end, he probably wanted to see the P bag, considering he's also at pretty good health, too. But with the red jar, he's able to fill up on everything again. Let's see how John Wayne fares on this Bago bridge here.
Oh my god, seriously, stop with the fucking.
Ooh, taking a lot of damage. They're down to his little bit of health, and he's got to use magic. And boy, the Bagos are just biting at him, and he takes another death. He's down to 1 life, folks. Light Z right now is making Death Mountain look quite easy so far. Let's see how he handles this red Daira. Very nicely done, getting the 100 points there. Gotta be a little bit careful here on this screen here with all these lava pits. jumps are easy enough, but this spiked enemy here, the Miyu here, if you're not able to time that properly and know that pattern, you could end up taking a lava bath, and that is no good.
If I game over this early,
Another red jar drop, so he is not getting the lucky P-bag drops that he'd probably like to see going into Palace 2. You'd like to get out of Palace 2 with attack 6 if you can. Light Z has the hammer now, which, of course, is a required item to break those boulders and to get to certain places you couldn't get to previously.
it was a complete accident that I did that. Like whatever.
John Wayne's got to be careful. He's down to 2 bars of health, and if he's not careful, it's going to be game over him. He gets a P-bag drop there from that orange Dyra for another 200 points. John's got to get through this cave so he can get that red jar. And he makes it through that final orange Dyra here, and he'll get that red jar. Swing and a miss, though, but he will pick it up. Light Z now has 6 magic containers on his side of the board after picking that up from the boulder. Now, by going back to these rooms, Light Z will ensure himself that he doesn't take an encounter, but he takes a risk there. No encounters there for Light Z. He doesn't go back to the cave to reset the encounters so that he would ensure himself that he doesn't take an encounter. So it saves a little bit of time, but you end up losing a lot of time if it fails. And John Wayne has picked up attack level 4. So he's at 4-1-2 right now. Light Z making his way to the double bridge past Death Mountain. First part's easy. You got a couple of moblins and the stray louder here. Takes a little bit of damage though. But the second part's a little bit tougher because you've got the bubbles that we all love. And then you've got another red Dyra guarding in the way. So I got to be a little bit careful here, but no problem there for Light Z. However, the bubbles decided, oh, why did you kill our master? It takes a little bit of damage there, but no problem for Light Z.
It's seriously GG right now.
John has made it past those jumps as he makes his way toward the hammer out of Death Mountain. Gets another P-bag drop from that diver. Now he's getting the P-bag drops. Where were they in Palace 1? All right, Light Z now attempting for Boulder Dash, trying to get into this cave here that has the medicine or the water of life. Fairy trying to troll him, but he dodges it. And it looks like he's made it through Boulder Dash. No encounters for Light Z. Very good. Very difficult Bago bridge here again with these louders that are also trying to make life a living nightmare for Light Z, but he gets through it without taking any damage. 3 divers that are in the way. Ooh, takes a little bit of a bopping there from that orange one. Now he's got a couple of red divers to deal with before, and he's got, of course, be careful that you don't fall into that lava pit. Some people might take in a death abuse there, but Light Z does not, so he will get out of there with the medicine of life, or the water of life, or the medicine, whichever you want to call it, and he's going to take that into Mido Town, where he's going to get the fairy spell by returning that medicine. Also in the town of Mido, you can get the downward stab, a very OP thing to have in Zelda 2, to do the jackhammer strats. As Light Z picks up the 1-up, those 1-up dolls are there once and once only. Once you pick it up, it's gone for good. Now John is just about ready to exit Death Mountain himself, just has to be careful that he crosses these quite lengthy lava pit gaps that are surrounded by red octoroks. Alright, so Light Z has made his way into the town of Mido. First thing he's going to do is he's going to use the jump spell here on the second screen and go into the church, the top of that building, where he is going to get that downward stab. John Wayne was killing those enemies there, trying to make up some lost ground on his experience points. As you can see, both of them are at 422, but Light Z has more than 950 points on John Wayne. And Light Z has just picked up the downward stab. John Wayne's going to pick up the one-up doll near the grave in the beach. He needed that because he was down to his last life. He'll take an encounter on the road and try and set himself up to do the boulder dash as well, but looks like he's going to have to take another encounter to really be set up for it. So that unnecessary encounter is going to cost him a few seconds there, but more importantly, let's see if he's able to do boulder dash. But on Light Z's side of the board, gets the fairy spell. Fairy spell is needed to get to several hard-to-reach locations, and it saves time on when Link raises up an item. John Wayne's able to do boulder dash, no encounters there. By using the fairy spell to pick up an item, you save the few seconds on Link holding up the item. That animation wastes a few seconds. But it's very important later on. I'll tell you exactly where I'm talking about when we get to that point. And John Wayne gets through the Dyra Cave no problem at all and takes the Water of Life. Light Z gets through this boulder no problem at all because in this cave, he's going to pick up another heart container to give him 6 units on the life meter. There's a red jar drop. In fact, Light Z is going to use that fairy right now to grab that heart container that saves again on the animation when Link holds up a very important item. Ooh, John taking a heavy encounter out of the medicine cave. Now Light Z is going to make this treacherous swamp walk here to see how many encounters he's going to take before he gets to the next palace known as the Maduro Palace. Takes an encounter on the road, so not too bad there. Hopefully for Light Z's sake, that's the only encounter. He's trying to go back into the road, which he does. Will he get trolled by these light encounters? Oh, he makes it with no additional counters. That was a very good swamp walk for Light Z. And in addition, he gets the red jar out of that Iron Knuckle statue. So he's in full health and at full magic. So that went quite well for Light Z. John Wayne just picked up the... Oh, why is he talking to that lady with the water? I think he accidentally talked to the wrong person because he wanted to refill his magic. He didn't have enough magic to cast the jump spell, or did he? Well, he went ahead and refilled his life. That's a very interesting way to do so. But now he's going to get the downward stab spell. Not the spell, but rather the ability. Ooh, Light Z taking a lot of damage there from that mace thrower. 2 bops, so he's already down to less than half of his health. And Light Z is going to have to go ahead and use some of that magic to refill his life. He's got to be careful that he has enough magic. Now, of course, he gets a pee bag drop from the small enemies, but he's not going to pick that up.
Like, I'm seriously, like, not even worrying about anything right now. Oh, man.
And now John is going to return that medicine of life, so he too will be able to get that fairy spell. We see that John nearly left town without picking up that fairy spell. I don't know what happened there. Maybe he thought he had picked it up and then just realized that, you know, he had to go back. But that was kind of weird. So that's going to cost John Wayne even more time. He's already finding himself quite a ways behind, and he hasn't even reached Palace 2 yet. Now, here's the screen that is very precarious. Light Z doesn't have enough magic to cast fairy. Grabs the key here. The bot's trying to troll him, but he gets a good pattern here. Light Z makes it unscathed. John, unable to make it through without an encounter, going to get that 6th heart container himself. Light Z picking up that red jar from the statue there, so he's back at full health and magic once again.
It's a complete fun play.
John Wayne could still have attack 6 coming out of Palace 2 if he continues to get these P-bag drops. Light Z having no problem in that room with the blocks are falling on you. Now that room where the blocks are falling on you, if you get a very, very bad pattern, there's a chance you can be trapped because at this point, you don't have the Power Glove. Now the Power Glove is used to break blocks with your sword. Now why a glove would strengthen your sword is beyond me. It's Nintendo logic, and one must not argue with Nintendo logic. But that Power Glove is a very strong item. It's the only way you could break these blocks that are about to fall on Light Z. But yeah, if he were to get a bad enough pattern, he would be blocked in and he would have no choice but to take a death. And John Wayne has now started Palace 2 himself. Well, again, both of these players are hoping to have attack 6 by the end of it all. Light Z getting a P-bag drop out of that Iron Knuckle, but doesn't pick it up. Looks like he knows he has enough to get attack 6 coming out. John gets past that Doom Rattle with no problems at all, and he's got the key, so he can move on to the next part of the palace. Light Z is approaching the boss of the Maduro Palace. His name is Helmet Head, worth 200 experience points. Relatively easy battle, but if you're not quick enough, those Helmet Heads can fire at you pretty quickly and do a number of hurt on you. Indeed, Light Z, a very strong player. He has a PB, it looks like on his screen, of 76 minutes and 58 seconds. That's a very, very strong time, considering the world record is 75 minutes and 22 seconds. John Wayne's PB is 79 minutes and 50 seconds. So both of them are sub-80 runners. So again, I expected this to be a good matchup. John has fallen quite a bit behind, but again, anything can happen. Remember, the Valley of Death, Light Z had this huge lead, but again, he may play a little bit conservative considering what had happened, but you never know. We'll see. All right, he's got no magic but full health. Light Z now ready to take on Helmet Head. See what kind of fight he gets. That was a very, very good fight there. He took no damage at all and didn't even allow those helmets to come up on screen. That was a very good fight there for Light Z. So he'll come out of Palace 2 with 6-2-3. Yep, Daklor in chat said that the Valley of Death has ruined 2 runs this tournament so far, and they've both happened on back-to-back days. In fact, we had the second one happen earlier today, and Sven ended up being the beneficiary of that turnaround. Ooh, is taking an encounter there in the swamp, does Light Z. No more encounters, though, it looks like. Trying to get back onto the road. Yep. No more encounters there. He's now going to make his way to the third palace. He's going to get through this graveyard first. No encounters there at all. Goes to the King's Tomb to reset everything so that he guarantees himself that he's not going to get an encounter there. Uses the ferry there so that he doesn't take damage against these louders. And you have to ferry there in order to get to the third palace. Third palace in this game is the Island Palace, and the item that you're going to be looking for is the raft. John takes care of that red Iron Knuckle, and who tries to do a swag move, and both times he bops that magic glove there, the power glove, and that is not considered a pickup, so he's going to lose a few more seconds there. Pretty sure Light did get the shield spell, but we'll find out when he pauses again. Because he does not go to Raru Town first. He went there later on. He went to Palace 1 first, then went back to get to Rauru Town to pick up the shield spell. So I'm pretty sure Light Z does have it, but I guess we'll find out when he pauses again. Yep, Rep 2369 is confirming that he did pick it up. So there's no worries there. And if Light Z had failed to pick it up, that would be a disqualification because, again, this is 100% all keys. 100% means you have to get all the spells, all of the abilities, which is the upward stab and the downward stab, all of the heart containers, all of the magic containers. That does not include, by the way, it does not include 888. You don't have to be on 888 to win. And it doesn't include all of the 1-up pickups either. You don't have to pick up all of the 1-ups for 100% all keys. But you do have to pick up all of the keys in the game. Light Z makes it to my favorite part of Palace 3, the outside, where Link can get some fresh air. He'll attack this red iron knuckle, no problem at all. Gets a P-bag drop. Watch out for those fiery Moas. No problems there for Light Z. Lights, you got to be careful on the screen here. We got a red iron knuckle and a lot of bots that are surrounding by a couple of big jumps of lava, and if they don't cooperate, but Light Z negotiates that, no sweat. John Wayne's looking for that red jar that's behind all those blue blocks, which he does. He'll use some of that magic to restore some of his life. John Wayne's going to pick up this 100-point P-bag on the disintegrating bridge, and it looks like he's going to be in good shape to get to, yes, he is. He is going to be on attack 6 coming out of Palace. And now he gets the P-bag drops. Where were these P-bag drops again in Palace 1? He's been lucky now. And because of that, he can go ahead and upgrade to Life 3. He now has enough points to get to attack 6. So it looks like he's back on track, is John Wayne, in the experience column. Red Iron Knuckle giving John Wayne a little bit of problems there, but he is okay. Light Z is looking to have attack 7 by the end of the Island Palace. Now this screen that Light Z is on, you're going to see a lot of it in Palace 4. It's going to look very identical. You've got all these blocks, there's a key buried beneath, and you've got these wolf-like statues that are called Maus, M-A-U. 5 points apiece for killing them, but you lose experience points if you get bot by them. John Wayne taking a light encounter there in the swamp, and he's now at attack 6. 6-2-3 for John, 6-3-3 right now for Light Z. Nice jackhammering of that Doom Knocker by Light Z, not to be confused with the other one, the Doom Rattles. Doom Knockers also throw maces, but they're like boomerangs, kind of like the Axe Knights in the Castlevania games. They'll throw an axe and they'll come back to them like a boomerang. So here's the boss battle of this Island Palace named Rebanak, and he's worth 301 experience points. Yes, 301, even though it says 300 because the developers can't math. Got to be careful that it isn't soft lock. That Rebanak got way to the left, and if Light Z would have delivered the final hit there, there's a chance that key doesn't show up, and that too ends up being a soft lock. But no problems there for Light Z. He'll get the key, and he'll be at attack power 7, so 7-3-3 for Light Z coming out of Palace 3. And they're going to give each other high fives as John Wayne is now beginning Palace 3. Light Z unfortunately taking an encounter there in the desert before he can make it back into the cave, so he'll lose a little bit of time. Right now he's running about 30 seconds behind PB pace. And most of the time lost was because of the first splits. Because he did not get the P-bag drop out of Magic Cave. And once again going to King's Tomb to reset all of the encounters so that he doesn't get a nasty graveyard or desert encounter Light Z now rafting his way to the eastern side of Hyrule, and he's going to make his way to the next town of Naburu. Naburu, of course, is a very peaceful town, and a lot of nice people. Southern hospitality, I should say Eastern hospitality, it's Eastern Hyrule. Except there's this one very, very lazy girl here who lives in a house, I assume all by herself. Now what she does is she asks Link for a drink of water out of this fountain. But get this, the fountain is 20 feet away from her. 20 gosh darn feet. So when you return the water to this poor, lazy girl, what do you get in return? Why, you get nothing but the fire spell. Some people like the fire spell, but the fire spell is the most useless spell in the game. Now, yes, you can use it to kill Tektites, and of course, it's the only way to kill Tektites in the US version of Zelda 2. And some people might use it in the Dark Link fight, but other than that, it does nothing. Now back to your regularly scheduled race. Of course, Rep2369 is one of these Zelda 2 racers who is very fond of the fire spell. And there's another P-Bag drop from John Wayne. P-Bags for days now. Once again, where was this in Palace 1? Ooh, this blue Iron Knuckle giving John some problems there, but he's able to take it out before the blue Iron Knuckle is able to take him out. Light Z is going to see what we can do here with this forest trek. He has to make this forest trek not once, not twice, but 3 times. Alright, any encounters here? So far, so good. Can he make it without an encounter? Yes, he does. No encounters going into this maze here. Now, the first thing Light Z is going to do in this maze here is he is going to get this child that he's got to rescue. Now, this is where the fairy spell comes into play, as I mentioned earlier. Yep, that is the proper play to do. You got to cast fairy there. 2 reasons why you do that. Number 1, you save on the animation from when picking up the child. And number 2, see that orange Rosalfo there? If you grab the child and you're not at fairy and you haven't taken out that orange Rosalfos, you're just going to get stabbed to death. And if you're low on health, you are going to die. So that is the reason why you're going to cast fairy right there. So that is a smart thing to do. Always cast fairy when you're rescuing that kid. Light Z is going to pick up this 1-up doll here in the desert. John Wayne's back in that room that, again, we're going to see a lot of in Palace 4 and gets the key here. Let's see if he can get through this room unscathed. Ooh, he takes a beam damage there. But no worries there. Let's see if Light Z, how many of the Darunia skips he can get here in the desert. Looks like he got the first one. Let's see if he can get the second one, setting himself up for it. And he's able to get the second one as well. So Light Z is 2 for 2, but ooh, takes a lot of damage there from that Zora, or did the levers get him? Hard to say, they were overlapping each other. But here Light Z is in the town of Darunia, where he's going to return the kidnapped child to the family in order to pick up the Reflect spell. The Reflect spell is needed for the Karak boss fight that is going to be coming up in Palace 4. And the super jump is successful for Light Z. He goes for the super jump strats and gets it on the first try. Well done there for Light Z. The alternative method Light Z could have used is the Fairy Claws method. What that is if you're crouching down and you use the fairy spell, that counts as a squatting position and you could get down the chimney doing it that way. Normally you couldn't go down there using the fairy spell. All right, John Wayne here is at the Rebanak fight here at the end of Palace 3. A little bit of trouble with the first part. Let's see how he does with the second part. Ooh, gets a sword to the face there. Another sword to the face. But he's able to take down Rebanak, and he's going to come out of Palace 3 also with 7-3-3. So in spite of the early experience deficits that John had, he is going to be on the same pace that Light Z is on, 7-3-3. And now we see that Light Z has made it to the house where he's going to return the once kidnapped kid, and in return is going to get that Reflect spell. In addition to Karak, Reflect spell is the only way you can kill Wizrows, which are found in Palaces 4 and 6. However, right now, Light Z has a massive lead on John. So, again, the way this is shaping up to be right now, folks, is that the only way that John can catch up is if Light Z takes another game over, but again, with that fresh in his mind, I gotta believe he's going to take all the liberties necessary so that tragedy doesn't happen again. Lightsy doesn't get a favorable encounter spawn pattern there, so he's just going to cut his losses and go through this encounter with all these bubbles. So I got to be careful that you do. Oh! He had to save himself right there by using the fairy spell. The bubbles did troll him, and if he wouldn't have reacted in time, he would have lost one of his lives. And again, it does not get a favorable spawn pattern by those encounter enemies. So again, he's going to have to take the long way. So going 2 for 2 going to Darunia, but 0 for 2 coming out of Darunia. Maybe he'll fare better in the forest and get no encounters. Ooh, but does not get a favorable spawn and is unable to pause his way out of it. So there's an encounter right there for Light Z. And now John is about to... There it is. I am thirsty. That is what the lazy young woman's request is I am thirsty. Well, couldn't you ask anybody else to get that drink of water? And there's the text there that says, want to get some water. Now, you can debate there that is Link talking to you about want to get some water. You can argue, you can make a legitimate argument that that is actually dialogue spoken by Link. Now, whether or not that really is dialogue spoken by Link, for me, that's up for debate. Now, Light Z here is in this maze as he makes his way to the Maze Palace, the 4th palace of the game. And he's going to take the long way. You got to take the long way because there's fewer forced encounters there. Plus, this is where you pick up the 7th magic container. And without the 7th magic container, you can't get the 8th magic container. And without the 8th magic container, you can't get the final spell of the game, the Thunder Spell. And now Light Z is getting ready to start the 4th palace of the game, the Maze Palace. And the item that he's going to be seeking out of it are the boots. The boots are needed, of course, to walk on certain water tiles, required if you want to get to the palace on the sea, the 5th palace of the game. John Wayne making his first trek. So far, so good. But, ooh, taking a heavy encounter right at the end. Was not able to get the good fortune there, so John will lose a little bit more time there. Because remember, Light Z had no encounters going into the maze the first time around. Now, here we go. Let's see if John remembers to use the fairy spell. He's not going to use the fairy spell. Oh, my goodness gracious. Now he uses the fairy spell. He waited until the last second. I was wondering if he was going to use that. Okay, Light Z back here in the 4th palace. Got to be careful here. Well, a little bit. Now, he has not lost any lives yet, so he could take the death abuse if he wants. He was trying for the red jar, but he didn't get the red jar, so he's going to take his first death abuse right there. Still 4 lives left to go. I give that backwards dive. I'll give him an 8 for that one. All right. Ooh, a heavy encounter in the forest for John Wayne, but more importantly, he can save a little bit of time on the Darunia desert encounters here. But ooh, takes a 3rd encounter right there. So any time that he was hoping to gain, he's probably going to lose right here. He's got to get these skips right here. And I don't know if he reacted in time or not. We're going to find out, though. He did not. Very tough. Oh, the jukes by both of them. Wow, John Wayne having no luck with the encounter skips whatsoever, so he's just got to grin and bear it. All right, so now Light Z has made it to the 2nd chance for making death abuse. And he's got the lives to do so if he would so like. And he'll grab the key. Not going to take the death abuse this time. And again, knowing what happened in the last race, you might want to save up on one of those lives. So he still has 4 lives remaining. He might take one on the 3rd screen like that. Because, again, you have to have enough magic to cast the reflect spell against Karok. Alright, so John Wayne has made it to Darunia Town. Now, in addition to reflect, now he was trying for the super jump, doesn't make it on the second try, misses on the third try, he doesn't get it on the fourth try or the fifth. Sixth try is no good, and he is laughing. He's having fun with that. Finally gets it on the seventh try, but yeah, he's going to lose even more time because remember, Light Z got the super jump on the very first try. Light Z picking up the key here, and this is where John Wayne picks up the upward stab. Again, there's one palace where you have to use it in order to get a key. However, you can also get that key without the upward stab, and if I see it, I will mention it. But you guys know what key I'm talking about. It's the one where you have to break a block and the key will fall down to you. But there's a way to get the key without the upward stab. But again, upward stab needed for 100%. Yeah, that's the first time I think so far, Damage Done, that I've called a race where neither player used Fairy Claws.
Is the restream even still going?
Wizrobe's guarding the path to that door, so he's got to wait and reflect the beams off his shield. This is the room right here where you can get the key right there, where you have to break the blocks, but there is a way to get it without the upward stab. It's a very tight jump, though, very tough to pull off. Very nice moves there on that Doom Knocker for Light Z. And there's that same room again. He's seen a room like this earlier, but unlike the other room, there is a P bag which you can pick up. But Light Z right now is in good shape. He doesn't need that P bag. John gets out of there. No, he accidentally went back in there again. He's trying to set himself up for the first skip. Let's see if he can do any better. Looking good. He does get the first skip coming out of Darunia Town. Now let's see if he can get the second skip. He's trying for it. Can he get the good pattern there? Looking for it. The jukes are real, folks, and he's got it. All right, so Light Z's made it to the third and more precarious death abuse screen because of these floating statues, these Raws here. They can knock you to the pit if you're not careful, and with no magic, if he doesn't get a red jar here, I gotta believe he'll take the death abuse. He's gonna take the death abuse anyway. Just does a nice forward dive there. I'll give that one a 7. That's some good distance on there. You know what? I'll give him a 7.5. I'm a nice guy tonight. So 7.5 on the second dive. So his average was 7 3/4. Of course, in the sport of diving, you know, the Olympic sport of diving, they go by half points instead of tenths of points. So there's no 9.9s. It's 9.5, then 10 for perfect. All right, so back to the race here. John Wayne making his way into the maze where he's going to be starting Palace for himself. By using the fairy spell there, John saves time on the animation, plus, because he picks up a magic container, his magic's going to refill to full anyway, so he'll be at full coming into the Maze Palace himself. Light Z is getting ready to face Karak, the ultimate RNG boss. You have to have the reflect spell ready to go, and he could spawn on top of you, like he just did right there, taking a bopping there. Well, let's see what kind of fight he has. So far, not cooperating. There's 2 hits out of the 8. And now he's got half of the hits. Boy, this is not a very good Karak fight. The middle of it went fine, but the beginning and the final hit took a lot of time. So a below-average Karak fight for Light Z. And again, it's an easy fight, but it's all about RNG, and Light Z certainly didn't get good RNG there. But nonetheless, he'll come out of the palace with attack 8, magic 3, and life 4, and he still finds himself with a sizable lead. Coming out of the palace at 51 minutes and 15 seconds. Because John Wayne lost a couple of lives, I know he did pick up some one-up dolls himself, tries to... Oh! He was trying for the long jump without the jump spell, and he missed. So he has to take the walk of shame back. All right, so here's John's attempt potentially at Death Abuse. Light Z does not do the Eco Key, so he's going to use the Fairy. You got to remember to go back afterwards because some people have a tendency to forget that there's a key that they got to go back and pick up. So Light Z will get that key. He does not forget about it, and John Wayne does not take the Death Abuse here. Ooh, John Wayne taking a little bit of a beam to the face there by those whiz robes. Light Z is in the 5th palace, known as the Palace on the Sea, and the item in this palace, before we get to that, he's now in this precarious room where this key is there and these falling blocks again, and this can cause all sorts of problems. Not just because of the blocks, but because of that fiery Moa. Using the jump spell so you have a better chance at the key. And he gets it. Very nicely done. But not before he gets a little bit more crushing from those blocks. But does take out that fire Moa. So not too bad of a room there for Light Z. Or Light Z if you're from another part of the country. I might pronounce it that way. Take your pick. Alright, so the item here in Palace 5 is the flute, or also more affectionately known as the plunger or the plumber's helper. Of course, it does look like a plunger, so we can understand why people would call it that. Ooh, and Lucifer took a death there, and that was not part of the Death Abuse. He got knocked down. What happened there? My goodness gracious. So he's got to go back and pick up that key, and that's going to cost him time, and ooh. He gets a P-bag drop out of that red iron knuckle. My goodness gracious, that was not a very good room there for John Wayne. Yeah, he's laughing about it right now, but I gotta believe deep inside it's no laughing matter. This is not the way that John Wayne envisioned he would play in this tight matchup against Light Z. Now the flute, as I was getting to before we saw that death happen on John's side, that flute is needed for two things. Number one, to ward off the River Devil that guards a few of the palaces in the last remaining towns. The second reason for the flute is you got to get to Palace 6 by blowing on the flute for it to appear. That is known as Three Eye Rock Palace.
Like, the commentator probably doesn't even know what the fuck's going on right now. Seriously.
As it stands, I don't think John has enough magic to cast the reflex spell against Karok. Light Z grabs the key from that area right there and has to backtrack his way to use the key to where the door is locked. As it stands, Light Z is at 844, John Wayne's at 734. Now with Attack 8, those Magos go down in 2 hits, or as we like to call them, Mangos, and they deliver a healthy 200 experience points apiece, so if you're low on experience, that's a good enemy to grind on. Right now, Light Z is in no danger of falling short of experience points because to get to Magic 5, that's 1,200 points. Life 5 is 800 points. And the boss here in this 5th Palace, Guma, is worth 500 experience points. So right now, Light Z is on track. Now John's on the third and final screen where we'll have a chance at death abuse, but ooh, the Raw statue's knocking to the fire, and that is going to mean he's down to 2 lives. So another bad screen right there for John. Ooh, it has not been a good run for him so far. And of course he gets the red jar when he had lost his life, because let's face it, the game knows. All right, let's see how Light Z negotiates his way through these Iron Knuckles here, where there's another key guarding it. This blue Iron Knuckle can cause a lot of problems, but it's no problem for Light Z here. Yeah, John's in a very precarious spot, down to 2 lives. Light Z, I believe, is at 3 lives, so he stands to be in pretty good shape in his run right now. Light Z is just about ready to complete Palace 5 and face the boss of Guma. Gotta be careful. Guma deals a tremendous amount of damage, even when you have your shield spell up, which is exactly what Light Z has right now. So let's see what kind of fight he's got. Trying for the quick kill, but ooh, taking 1 hit there, but able to downstab off of him and take no further damage. That was a pretty good fight there for Light Z. John Wayne's now at the Karok boss fight. And just like on Light Z, Karok not cooperating. Well, he does cooperate, I'd say, a little better than he did against Light Z. So that's going to do it for John Wayne. He'll come out of Palace number 4 with 8-3-4. Right here in this fixed encounter where Light Z is, this is where he's going to pick up the 7th heart container. He now has 7 units of magic and 7 units of life. And with the 9,000 points, Light Z can now go on a shopping spree of level ups. All right, Light Z is now going to attempt the rather difficult river dance, and he does not get good fortune there. So unless he decides to try it a second time, looks like he's going to have to go through all 3 Wilson Wall encounters. Oh, he did get the skip. All right, never mind. I thought he had missed it. He got it. Now let's see if John Wayne is going to try for Eco Key here in Palace 5. Looks like he's going to attempt it. Can he get it? No, he falls short. So he is going to try it again? Oh, he's going to take out this bubble first, then cast. What did he do? Oh my goodness, he is out of magic. He's out of magic, folks. I don't know what happened, but he ran out of magic. So he's going to have to go all the way back and get a red jar out of that Iron Knuckle statue. Yeah, he cast the life spell instead of fairy, and that is not good. Now, Light Z did get the River Dance skip, so he only needed 2 of the Wilson Wall encounters. Can he get through this? No, there was nothing Light Z could do about that one. Bad luck. So he will face 1 forced encounter before he gets to the cave heading to New Kasuto Town. And with the fire spell, he's going to use it to kill these Tektites. That's a smart move if you want some experience points. With 150 points to go, he could get it on a few Tektite kills. He didn't grab the P bag, so he's not too worried about it, though.
Words of inspiration.
All right, so Light Z has made his way to New Kasuto Town. There's 3 things on the agenda for Light Z. First of all, he is going to get the spell. The spell will enable him to actually fills up in his magic first. He doesn't have enough magic to cast the fairy spell that he would use later on this trek. He's going to get the spell here, which does 2 things. Number 1, it grants access to the magical key that's on the end of this town. And number 2, he'll be using it perhaps at the Valley of Death to turn all the difficult enemies into harmless bots, so that it makes negotiating through the Valley of Death much, much easier. And remember the magic word, folks. The magic word is not please or thank you, it's spell. All right, he's going to try the eco key again, and he doesn't get it on the second time either, and now he's going to correctly cast fairy
Fuck it.
to get out of there, and he's laughing at himself. He knows this has not been his finest outing, so he's just going to have fun and enjoy it. So I certainly can't blame him. If you're going to have a bad race, you don't want to, go through it grudgingly. You want to try and have fun, and that's exactly what John's having right now. And by using the fairy spell, Light Z will pick up the magical key, saves on the animation, and this is why you go for the magic container last, folks. By going for the magic container last, you will get the maximum 8 units of magic, but more importantly, it refills your magic to full. So that's the reason why you will see people get the magic container last. Right now, John Wayne is in the 5th palace. Again, the palace on the sea. So let's see how he fares in this room where the key is with these falling blocks. Waiting for a good pattern. And nice upstab to get rid of that block to avoid damage. But he is going to have to take out these blocks here. A nice big wall there. Takes one hit there. And ooh, the fire mower greets him with another hit. Avoids those fireballs. So not a bad room there for John. Right, so Light Z is making his way out of New Kasuto Town and back to where he'll have to go to the 6th palace of the game. Again, that is known as the 3 Eye Rock Palace. Now, before he'll go there, he'll go to the beach to find the 8th and final heart container. So far, good manipulation there on those. He takes no encounters there, so that was well played there for Light Z. So now he's got the final heart container. Now let's see how he's able to negotiate this screen. Potential counter here. Nope. He ignores him, and that was a very flawless set of screens right there for Light Z. He's now in the 6th palace, 3 Eye Rock Palace. Item you're going to be looking for here is the cross, and most people who run just plain any percent won't pick up the cross, but the cross is useful to see enemies that cannot be seen, particularly the MOAs that are in both Old Kasuto Town and the Valley of Death. So that makes doing those sections much, much easier. Now here in the 6th palace, there's going to be 2 Rebanak rematch fights for both of these players. There is a lot of shenanigans that are going on in this palace. It's a maze, you've got the 2 Rebanaks, and then later on you've got the false floors. We'll see that in a little bit. John having some problems with this blue iron knuckle here. He doesn't have much health left, but he's able to take it down and pick up the plunger. So now it's time for him to move on to the next part of Palace 5. Light Z already has enough experience points where he's going to level up at least 1 time. I would imagine he's probably going to be going for the 886 strats. So here's the first Rebanak rematch here for Light Z. Let's see how he does in it. That was a good first one. Wow, what a really good Rebanak fight that was there for Light Z. Excellent, excellent fight. And there he'll go ahead and pick up the cross and be on his way. Yep, and there's those false floors that Light Z is jumping over. You have to have the jump spell. You can do it without the jump spell, but it's very precarious. So you better be safe than sorry. Yeah, you want to have the jump spell to make those long pits, because otherwise you will lose a lot of time. Now, you lose a bunch more time going to the Rebanak fight by picking up the cross than it is than when you go away from the fight. So those are a couple things to keep in mind. But yeah, no problems there for Light Z. There's that false wall there, of course. Kind of makes you wonder, how do you think Nintendo expected people to think that there's a false wall right there, and you actually have to go through that false wall to make your way deeper into this palace? I mean, that is very, 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 very cunning of Nintendo to do something like that. Ooh, got to be careful of those statues there. Very long pits to jump over, and again, they can knock you to the pit. We've seen that already happen to John, and some more of those spiky mews there. Ooh, that almost knocked him into the fiery lava, but Light Z, no problems. All right, using the fairy spell to get across this very, very long fiery pit. Got to be careful that you don't take too much damage from those bubbles, because remember, when you get hit by a bubble, not only do you lose some life, you also lose a little bit of your magic as well. And we saw that come into play a few nights ago, where it caused one of our players, I believe that would be John Bloody Thumbs, to go below the amount of magic needed to use the fairy spell to get to the boss fight. Here's the second Rebanak fight for Light Z, and let's see how he does. Another really good Rebanak fight there for Light Z, so two really good Rebanak fights here in Palace 6. Unfortunately for John Bloody Thumbs, he was able to get a lucky red jar drop so that he would have enough magic to cast Fairy. So here we go, Light Z is about ready to cast Fairy so he can face off against the boss, who's named Barba, worth 700 experience points. Let's see if Light Z tries to do the jackhammer method. He's got 3 lives to his name, I believe. So let's see what kind of Barba fight Light Z puts up. Gets the jump spell ready. He's doing the jackhammer. Doesn't quite get the full one, and he can't one-cycle Barba. But it's a quick 2-cycle for Light Z, so he gets out of Palace 6, no problem. But ooh, meanwhile on John's side of the board, Guma takes down John, and he's now down to 1 life left. Yeah, damage done. JBT had played a few nights ago. He did his he did all 4 of his matches on Thursday night. So this is the second murder. Ooh, John's got to be careful here. If he takes too much more damage, one more hit, and it's a game over for John. And oh, John is able to get the last hit on Guma before Guma gets the last hit on John, so he'll get out of Palace 5 barely by the skin of his teeth. So at 876 and 500 points away from Magic 8, Light Z indeed is going to be going for 886 for the Great Palace. And here he is in Old Kasuto Town, where he can pick up the final spell, the Thunder Spell, which is essential to beat the Thunderbird in the Great Palace. And again, the only way you can get the Thunder Spell in this game, you have to have all 8 units of magic on your side of the board. Right now, John's going on his shopping spree. Good kill of that Moa there by Light Z. That'll give him an extra 30 points closer to where he needs to be. This bridge is very, very precarious. This Bagu Bagu bridge with this Zora here, because they're shooting fireballs, they're shooting coconuts. Ooh, he's got to use Fairy to save himself right there. Shouldn't be too much of an issue, because remember, there's a red jar coming up before the Valley of Death, provided he doesn't soft lock it again like he did last night. Light Z getting set up for the Wilson Wall skip here before the Valley of Death, and he gets the skip all right, so he should not be despawning the jar, but he's not even going to pick up the jar. He's just going to go ahead and go to the Valley of Death with what magic he has. So a little surprised about this move considering what happened last night, but Light Z is a good player, and he shouldn't have to worry about it. So he's taking the heavy encounter here and not using the spell, which I don't blame, because those floating eyeball enemies are not there to mess with him. It's just the Moas when you have the heavy encounter. And another heavy encounter there for Light Z as well. Right, so he's going to use the spell here. I don't know if he got the skip. He did not get the skip, so he's going to have to try it again. Ooh, the juke's there by those encounter enemies, so once again he's going to have to try again. More favorable this time, he'll be able to skip it. Opts not to use the spell here and is able to take out the floating eyeball, so first half of Valley of Death completed. Well, Blue Fox, that might have been a good strategy, except he decided not to farm off of those Lizalfos that would have given him a nice amount of experience points. Ooh, Max giving Light Zed a little bit of trouble, but eventually does get past that pesky Scorpion. So he's got a little bit of life left, and he still has one more. Oh, the jukes again! My goodness gracious, that's twice in the Valley of Death already. Oh, the third time they juke Light Z. My goodness gracious, this last part of Valley of... This time he gets a favorable spawn, uses the spell for the last time. So Valley of Death, treating Light Z little more kindly than last time. And Light Zed's going to go ahead and take an intentional death to this blue Lizalfos to refill up on everything. He still has 2 lives remaining. By taking out that red Lizalfos, he'll be 100 experience points closer to the 6,000 he needs for Magic 8, as John Wayne decides to remember that magic word again. Magic word is spell. So here we are in the Great Palace where Light Z is, 58 experience points away from the Magic 8. Now, he's going to try to use this carefully and not level up too quickly. You might want to try and get to 6,000 when you're low on magic, but if you can't help it, you can't help it. He goes through the spicy chicken here with not too much problem at all. Alright, using the fairy spell, does John to pick up the magical key, so he'll go back and get the final magic container so that, again, he needs it to pick up the thunder spell in Old Kasuto Town. Great palace with lots of twists and turns. It's one big maze, and if you take the wrong way, you end up in a dead end, so it's very easy to get lost if you're not familiar with it. Alright, Light Z gets through that spicy chicken, no problem, so it's coming up to this first block room with these floating heads. Again, gotta be careful because he is 58 points away only, but if he gets hit by these statues, he'll lose some of those experience points. Almost took a hit there. Almost took a hit there too, but no damage by those. Still remains 58 points away. And there is the Red Bird Knight, the Focas. Takes a couple of hits from him. And he's now 48 points away from the 6,000. And again, Spicy Chicken giving Light Zed no problems at all as he is approaching a chance at a red jar drop if he so chooses. I wonder if he's going to be... Yep, he's now one of those away if he wants to go to 6,000, but he gets a red jar drop. He gets a red jar drop, so he doesn't have to do it. And here we are, folks. He's in this precarious room here. The second room that looks exactly like you saw it earlier that had the floating statue heads, the Raws. But here it is, folks. Scott Bakula. Oh, boy. So, boy, he did not take... Wow, that was a real good Scott Bakula room there for Light Zed. He has had a great, great palace so far. Now he's got enough experience points to go up to Magic 8. What's the purpose of Magic 8? Well, with Magic 8, you can use all of the goodies on the Thunderbird fight. Of course, you need the Thunder spell, which you have to use after he shows up on screen. And then the other goodies that you can use are the Jump spell, the Shield spell, and the Reflex spell. Reflex spell, oh so important because it reflects many of the Thunderbird's fireballs. But I tell you what, yeah, this has been a great, great palace so far for Light Zed. He is well on his way to erasing the memory of last night's loss behind him right here. Because remember, he's still in good shape lives-wise. He still has an extra life remaining in case worse did come to worse. But yeah, this has been a real solid Great Palace for Light Zed.
What? Fucking skull bubble. Jackass, you fucking broke out of the pattern. What the fuck is
Watch out for that boss spot, everybody. So here he is. He could take a Death Abuse right here. Now, he's only got 7 units of magic. So if he wanted to use all of the goodies... Wait a minute. Maybe he doesn't need... No, I think he does have enough magic, even without the 8th unit. I believe he still has enough magic that he can cast everything he needs. Yes, he does. The only downfall of is he won't be able to use anything on Darkling. So if he had any swag strats planned for Darkling, they just went out the window. And he forgot to use shield, and that could have cost him. So let's see what kind of fight he puts up against the Thunderbird. Wow, what a tremendous Thunderbird fight there for Light Z. He is well on his way to finishing this up as our winner. Giving the thumbs up to everybody. He knows he put up a great fight and an excellent Great Palace overall for Light Zed. He really tore this apart. Now, the only thing that stands in his way is Dark Link, but he has loads of life just in case Dark Link decides to be an ultimate troll, which he was right there. He took a hit, took another hit. So this has not really been the best of Dark Link fights. He's being a troll. Only a couple of hits away, though, from closing this out. Just one more hit, and that is going to do it, ladies and gentlemen. Light Zed is your winner, and he saved 14.4 seconds on that particular split. That was a really good Great Palace for him. So Light Z is your winner, and he goes into a record of 1-1 in match play. Well done for him. And that ends up being a race PB for Light Zed. He finishes with a time of 79 minutes and 41 seconds. A race PB of 1 minute and 1 second. Congratulations for Light Z. Meanwhile, John Wayne is getting ready to close out Palace 6. He's got to use that fairy spell across this fiery river of lava while not taking any damage by those drops or those bubbles. Well done, he does not get hit. Sorry about that. He actually finished his old race PB was 79 minutes and 41 seconds. His actual time, and I do apologize for this, 78 minutes and 40 seconds was Light Zed's race time, which is still a PB by 1 minute and 1 second. Again, 78 minutes and 40 seconds was the official time for Light Z. A 1 minute race PB. Yeah, that was a race PB, not a PB. That was a race PB. All right, so John Wayne is now getting ready to face off against Barbo. Let's see what kind of fight he has. He's not going to cast... Yes, he does cast the jump spell. He's going to try for the jackhammer method here. See if he can get a 1 cycle. And he got it. A 1 cycle fight for John Wayne. Well done. So he'll get out of Palace number 6, and if his numbers are what Light Zed's numbers were, and they are, I would imagine he's going to go for 886 as well. Again, by ferrying out of that palace and using it on this precarious bridge, he'll level up his magic to go to 876. And yes, indeed, John Wayne is going to go for 886 strat, so he too could have a very easy Thunderbird fight. Now remember, he's only got 2 lives left, so he can't afford to take another life loss, because otherwise if he does it again, it would be game over, and he would lose those experience points if he doesn't get to Magic 8 before then. Well, it looks like John Wayne is going to employ the same strats that John Bloody Thumbs employed in his first race on Thursday. He's going to go ahead, knowing that he has been defeated in this race. He's going to take the long way in the Great Palace, which, you know, under normal circumstances would be the wrong way because it leads to the dead end. But there is a way you can go over that dead end by doing a damage boost. And by doing that damage boost, you can get back to the place of Great Palace where you actually need to be. So this should be fun, folks. So even though he has lost the race, John Wayne is getting ready to do some entertainment for us. He's going to show us the alternate path of Great Palace. So this should be a lot of fun. Stay tuned for that. John Wayne is able to get the skip right there of that Wilson wall, and that means the red jar will not be despawned, so he'll have full magic going into the Valley of Death. Alright, also by filling up his magic, he can use the fairy on the first encounter because the meter hasn't filled up completely yet. Ooh, this has not been a good screen for John Wayne, though. This has been a very bad screen for John Wayne. He didn't use the spell, and he took a lot of damage. Don't think he quite got the skip. I think he missed it by one little section there. Yep. All right, he was further away than that. So he's got the skip. He's got the skip right there. That was done pretty well. He's not using any magic in Valley of Death. He is taking it he's taking it the hard way, folks, and I gotta commend his efforts here by not using the spell. Most people would take the spell there. Not John Wayne. He is going to do it the hard way, and now he's going to use some magic to restore a little bit of his life. Hey, look at that. He goes ahead and kills the Scorpion, 150 experience points, close to where he needs to be. That's the second time I've seen that so far in the tournament where they actually went ahead and killed Max the Scorpion, so rip him. Any of you who are fans of Max, you can Bible thump if you want. And now John's 40 experience points away from leveling up. And by leveling up to Magic 8, he'll restore all of his lost magic. And he just did it right there by the elimination of that blue Lizalfos for 200 points. So now he is at 886. Going to take care of this red Lizalfos as well for another 100 points. So John Wayne killing everything in sight here in the Valley of Death as he is now at the Great Palace. Now, John Wayne got out of the Great Palace for some reason. Oh, I see what he's doing. He intentionally is killing himself. That's a game over right there. He wants to restock up on lives and life. So that ended up being an intentional game over right there in the Great Palace. Now, when you game over in the Great Palace, you don't start at the beginning at North Palace like you do any other circumstance. When you game over in Great Palace, you start at the beginning of Great Palace. And Error 72 is absolutely right. According to this chart here, that Scorpion enemy is part of the large drop group. So yes, there is a chance that it can drop a red jar, but he was not at 6 on the counter, and that's why he got the 150 points. Or he may just intend to game over one way or the other. It's hard to say, Error 72. But in any event, John Wayne now is going to take the scenic route, so to speak. Because normally you don't see these ropes on this path. Because the first screen that looks like this has those floating statues, the Ross statues. But taking this alternate path, you see here these ropes that are in here. Each one worth 20 points. Now he's made it here to this, all of these statues here. That's a pretty easy room. There's actually a false floor above where that spicy chicken is. And John Wayne going down into the pit like so. And this is the scenic route that he's taken. Watch out for Boss Spot again. Yep, that's the second occurrence where you can see Boss Spot is right here on this bridge. But unfortunately, he did take some damage on one of the bots that appeared after he exploded that boss bot. Another precarious area. There's a disintegrating bridge and more lava gaps, not only with bots, but those floating statues as well. And you see another room like this time with Muse inside. And here is another Scott Bakula, but this isn't the Scott Bakula that we're all used to seeing. That's in a different part of this palace. And it looks like he's going to go ahead and try and kill this Blue Bird Knight. And he's got a hit or two left to go, and he got him for 100 experience points. That was pretty good.
Just because I have nothing but time to waste, we're getting revenge on the Blue Bird.
There is a red jar behind one of those blocks, but he missed. So he's just going to have to ferry his way over. And of course, you have to ferry there anyway because of this large lava pit.
Got it.
Now, the game makes you think you have to take this in order to get to where you need to be, but instead, it only leads you to a dead end. In fact, this dead end is coming up right here. Now, with the jump spell, he could turn this dead end into the right way if he does this damage boost properly. Let's see if he can get it here. Not on that attempt. How about this attempt? No. Trying to get a favorable floating statue spawn to get up there. It's a tough maneuver to be sure. It saves, I think, only a little bit of time, and it's not worth it if you're, especially in a race. Ooh, almost got it that time. How about this time? Nope. Doesn't get it at that time either. This boost has proven to be a little more difficult than I think he was anticipating. And yes, it is a very difficult trick to maneuver. To me, it's reminiscent of the blob boost in Castlevania 2. Not much room for error.
I'm gonna get this.
John is determined to get this. He got it! There we go! So, by doing this, he goes back into a familiar screen, and when he emerges, he goes back to the bottom part, and now everything looks familiar to you guys once again. So, well done, John. He gets that damage boost to go onto the ceiling and back on the right path. So he's now just a few screens away from the Thunderbird fight, and I think he's going to go ahead and take the intentional. No, he's not. He's not going to take the intentional game over here. What is he got in mind? Well, he's going to cross... No, he's not going to cross the entire bridge. He was trying to kill the Mew for some swag points, but unfortunately he missed. Now here he's got to hope for a lucky red jar, and he gets the lucky red jar. So now he'll take that with him to the Thunderbird fight. And again, with Magic 8, he can cast all of the goodies for the fight. Again, that is the jump spell, the shield spell, the reflex spell, and of course the thunder spell for the fight. But again, you can't cast it until after Thunderbird appears, otherwise you've wasted it. And here we go. Let's see what kind of fight he puts up. Ooh, he takes a hit there, and he's down to 2 bars of health. A couple more hits, and he'll have to try it again. Ooh, down to his last hit. He does manage to take care of Thunderbird, so that'll do it for him. All he's got to do is defeat Darklink. However, he doesn't have much health left, which means one hit and he'll take a death.
I'm probably gonna die here, so I'll give it a Dude, this is the worst run I've had in a very fucking long time.
Alright, so he's got to have a perfect Darklink fight if he wants to get through this without taking a death. Let's see what happens. Hey, he's going for the swag fire spell, so he might as well, because casting shield's going to do him no good. Even if he takes a hit, ow, and he gets trolled by the downward stab, and he's unable to get out of it, so unfortunately, Darklink won the battle. Fire strats don't win this time. But again, you might as well cast it for swag points, because even with the shield spell, one hit would have meant a goner anyways. Right now he's going to try difficult strats on Darklink. The way you intended to fight Darklink, he's going to do it by not going into the corner. He is doing it from the center of the arena. We'll see how this goes, though. But so far, Darklink's getting the better of him. He's got 2 hits. Now he's got 3 hits, but John is getting low on health himself, and Darklink's just standing there. He's like, come at me, bro! Come at me! Come at me, bro! Darklink just did nothing there! My goodness gracious, now there's half the hits on Darklink, and he's going to use the life spell to recover some of his life. Only 3 more hits left now on Darklink. Now just 2 more hits to go, 1 more hit to go, and he's getting there. Can he get it? No, not quite yet. Darklink trying to make this interesting here. He's trying to get the last hit. Ooh, taking another bopping there. So close. Ooh, they're getting... It's down to the wire. He can't cast Life Spell again. Can he get that last hit? It's 1 more hit for both of them. Well, who's going to get it? Can he do it the hard way? No! Darklink wins again. Oh, he was down to 1 hit on Darklink, but Darklink just poured it on at the end. Oof. Now let's see what John Wayne has in mind for his 3rd and final attempt. Is he going to try hard strats again, or is he going to play it safe? No, he's going to play it safe. Oh, I know what he's going to do. He's going to use Fairy to wrap things up, and he might soft lock. We'll see what happens. All right, so he's got the fire spell used. I think he's got Fairy ready to go. And that was going to be a really good Darklink fight, but Darklink decided to have the last laugh and did a downward stab. Black screen ending, did he soft lock? Nope, he got it. Black screen ending, no soft lock. So John Wayne is going to finish this race. And the official SRL time is 95 minutes and 7 seconds. So a very comfortable win there for Light Zed. So even if Light Zed would have game overed at the Valley of Death, still would have ended up winning the race. He had quite a comfortable lead. Well, John Wayne, if that was your worst run in 10 months, well, if you're going to have your worst run in 10 months, at least it's here and not in the knockout round. Plus, we got to see the super cool alternate route to get to the end of Great Palace. So, yeah, we thank you for that. So, yeah, a lot of fun between you 2 racers. So that is going to do it for this particular race.
Yo.
Hey, Light Z, congratulations on your victory today. Well done. A very, very, very good time. You put up a race PB. Hey, Light Z, congratulations on your victory today. Well done. A very, very,
Thank
very
you.
good.
Yeah, that Grand Palace was I think 7 seconds off of my gold, and which is good because my gold was like damageless, I think.
Yeah, that was a real fine, great palace for you there, Light Z. I mean, it looks like everything went right for you. The spicy chickens cooperated. The
Yeah.
Scott Bukula room was really, really good. That was an awesome, great palace for you. So, yeah, congratulations. And that makes up for what happened last night a little bit, huh?
Nothing will make up for that.
No? Yeah, I could definitely can understand that. It's going to take a little bit of time to, get over that. But hey, who knows? Maybe you and JSR could have a rematch in the knockout round, and that's where all the marbles are going to be laid down.
Yeah, I'm definitely not losing in the groups anymore. And yeah, I hope to meet at least JSR so we can get that rematch. If not, we're gonna have a rematch regardless. So who knows?
Hey, sounds good to me. Yeah, congratulations. So, go over this run with us. What went great in this run? What were some things that you wish could have gone better?
Okay, so what pissed me off so much was that P bag dropping in the first palace. I got that 50p bag after I went and diddled around in like Trophy Cave. I had 3 encounters coming out of that, and then I get the 50 bag, so it was all pointless.
Of course, you're going to get that 50-point P bag after doing all that because, as I always like to say, the game knows.
Yeah, it knows. And like honestly, that P1 was really good. It was damageless. I was pretty happy with that. I was damageless up until I don't even know. Maybe just like outside of Bagu. So that was good. The rest of the run from there was really good. P I didn't get shit for XP until the end of P2. It was just red jars for days. So I actually fell behind XP, I think, compared to John Wayne, but I just killed a bunch of extra stuff in P2, so I lost time there, but I executed well and had a good swamp, so that was good. Made up for time.
Absolutely. And when we interview John Wayne, actually, I'm going to explain something that happened in terms of the experience between the two of you because I'm sorry, very interesting scenario took place between the two of you. Yes.
Somebody came and told me that in my chat. I was just like, Simple came and told me he was already at attack 5, and then somebody told me he got attack 3 at a P1, right? Was that true?
That is correct. He got he got double red jarred in P1, so he only got out with attack 3. However, on Death Mountain and the rest of the way, he was the one that kept getting P bags for days. So he ended up getting back on track experience wise coming out of Palace 2. He got to 6.
That's
he got
incredible.
To attack 6. Yeah.
And then so then it kind of went downhill in P4. I played it way safe. I didn't take a death abuse that I normally would, and honestly, I think I lost 50 seconds there compared to PB. And then the rest of the run was fine. Like honestly, I think Valley Death was horrible. Oh, that's one. I just lost time there. It wasn't like it was like scary or anything. I just lost massive amounts of time to skips, and everything else was just good.
Yeah, I did see you were juked a few times. Both you and John were juked a few times on the Valley of Death.
Pissed me off. Yeah, I would have got a 117 if I just had like a normal Valley of Death, but whatever. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, first try super jump. That's all.
that was an amazing. By the way, this is the first race I've seen. I don't know if this is the first race of the entire tournament. This is the first race I've seen where both of you did the super jump. Neither of you did Fairy Claws.
I haven't actually looked into how you even do the fairy thing, so I haven't been playing this game for like the past 6 months, at least not keeping up with new strats. So these are all my old strats from 2015, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, anyways, congratulations on a very fine run. Again, a new race PB for you on SRL by 61 seconds. Yeah, very fantastic.
That's so funny. Yeah.
All right, John Wayne is in the commentators booth with us. If you have any words to say to us, we can ask you some questions as well.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
By the way, GG, dude, and thanks for the grats.
Yeah, I mean, you had a really good run, honestly, because I know like last tournament had some problems, but yeah, you had a pretty good run overall.
Yeah, thank you, man.
Yeah, John Wayne, you actually had that deficit coming out of Palace 1, only getting attack 3, but then you kept getting P-back, so you ended up getting back to where you needed to be experience-wise to get to attack 6, but unfortunately you took a couple of early deaths, and that kind of set you back. Go over this race with us.
Well, I'm coming off like probably 4 or 5 hours of sleep for the past 3 days.
Yeah,
So
that can affect it for sure. Yeah.
yeah, and then it started out bad and just kept on getting worse and worse. And then I just figured I'd probably try alt route GP at the end to try and pull it off, so it's at least somewhat entertaining for the viewers so they can see a little bit different.
Yeah, that looked really, really good. Yeah, and that damage boost at the end, that I always compare that to the blob skip boost in Castlevania 2 because it's pretty difficult, but you managed to pull it off, and that always looks pretty cool when they do these swag strats like you did. So yeah, well done. Dark Link fight, I bet you were probably disappointed you couldn't do it with the normal stretch. You were one hit away, and then Dark Link decided to be Dark Link.
Yeah, he kept on going over to the corner and trolling me, so I don't know. I've never seen him like just stand there like he did too.
Yeah, that was kind of hilarious. He was just saying, I was having some fun with that. I'm like, he's like, come at me, bro.
Darklink was trying to do corner strats on me. So
Yeah, he was the one employing the corner strats that a normal Zelda 2 runner would employ. But yeah, but in any event, you were able to get through the Dark Link fight, and yeah. So congratulations, both of you are now 1-1 in group play. So, any thoughts about your upcoming matches?
Go for it, John.
Let's see. Yeah, go ahead.
well, I'm just saying, like, if I can hopefully pull out a couple wins and then Light wins a couple of his, we might have a rematch going on. But I know Light will probably de-rust even more till then. So he might be able to pull up another race PB.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Dark Magician so far has not had a race yet. Jay Coper's had 2, JSR has had 2, and you guys have had 2. In fact, speaking of Dark Magician, tomorrow night at, yes, get this isn't a typo here.
Actually, it's tomorrow. Or it's 2 more days, sorry.
Right.
It's Tuesday. We just pushed it back. He just told me today.
Oh, okay, because I did see on the schedule that there was one race scheduled for 11:59 Eastern, but it looks like that's been pushed back. That was going to be John Wayne and Dark Magician 11:84. However, I do see that there is a race scheduled for tomorrow. However, it's in Central European time, so if you guys want to try and configure that, it's Rovhole 88 versus NES Martin at 8:30 p.m. Central European time. If anybody wants to post that in chat, what that is in Eastern and Central times, go right ahead. But for Light Z, your next opponent is going to be Dark Magician, it looks like. But again, that is going to be oh yeah, I see that one. Light Z is facing Dark Magician. John Wayne's facing Dark Magician, and so Light Z is facing. Is your time official 1 p.m. Central? That's 2 Eastern for November 15th.
Yeah, November 15th. Yep. So Tuesday.
All right. Excellent. Sounds good. So a couple days, Light Z going at it again against Dark Magician 11:84. You guys have any other comments for the race before we close this interview out?
No, I was gonna say, yeah, I'm looking forward to the next couple races. I've never actually seen Dark Magician play, so I'm not sure how that's gonna go. And then Jay Coper, I haven't seen him play, but I know he's a good speedrunner in general. So I'm not sure what to expect with those two, but I don't know whether to expect John Way or JSR in the finals, if I do make it there, of course. So honestly, it's all up in the air. I have no idea what's gonna happen. And then yeah, that was all I wanted to say. GG.
Excellent. Sounds good to me. Any other thoughts about this race before we close it out for the night?
Fuck this game.
Yeah, dude, fuck this game. GG, Light.
GG. All right. See you guys.
All right. Thank you very much for your time. Have a great rest of the evening, and good luck to both of you on the rest of the tournament.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, folks. So that is going to do it for us tonight. So on behalf of our 2 racers this evening, Light Z and xJohnWaynex, on behalf of our restreamer and tech JLo7, on behalf of his Twitch chat, this is LLZ Cards Fan 23 signing off. Hope you have a great rest of your weekend, and we will see you again soon. So long, everybody.